We ought to stop it.
Washington
The spokesman for the minority party is saying that Laken Riley's death and migrant crime is not an actual issue. I can't frankly believe that I am hearing these words. You said it's not an actual issue. I read you the quote.
Laken Riley's death was not an actual issue.
You said that the murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime. You put it in quotation marks, square quotes, like it's an actual issue.
Before we get started, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest coverage of major hearings and debates from Washington. A Senate hearing turned into a tense exchange as Senator Josh Hawley sharply questioned a witness over comments about migrant crime in opposition to the Laken Riley Act. Hawley argued that crimes committed by some undocumented immigrants deserve stronger federal action, while the witness defended his position by pointing to broader crime statistics and raising concerns about the legislation. Let's break down exactly what happened.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for calling this hearing. Mr. Isaacson, if I could just start with you. In March of 2024, you wrote, "The murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime like it's an actual issue." That'd be Laken Riley you were talking about?
Laken Riley was an unusual case.
Yeah, here, let's have a look. Here's Laken Riley.
Yes.
Her murder, her horrific murder at the hands of this illegal migrant who was also unlawfully paroled in the United States. Her death, not an actual issue?
It's a tragedy.
But not an actual issue?
Migrant crime is much less of an issue than U.S. citizen committed crime.
Not an actual issue? Those are your words. Her death, not an actual issue. I just want to get, no, you say.
Of course it's an issue. It's a tragedy.
So what do you mean by your post? It's not an actual issue, meaning we shouldn't be paying attention to it. Senate's wasting its time this week on the Laken Riley Act that would address the circumstances of her murder. What's your advice to us? We just discontinue those proceedings now?
I think the Laken Riley Act could do a lot of harm. It would allow me to say, oh, this person shoplifted, and that would be enough probable cause to get somebody deported.
Interesting. You're here, who invited you to this committee hearing today, Mr. Isaacson?
The minority party.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're here as a spokesman for the minority party. I just want to make sure the record's clear on this. The spokesman for the minority party is advising the Senate that the Laken Riley Act is a bad idea and we ought to stop it. The spokesman for the minority party is saying that Laken is an actual issue?
It's a tragedy.
But not an actual issue?
Migrant crime is much less of an issue than U.S. citizen committed crime.
Not an actual issue? Those are your words. Her death, not an actual issue. I just want to get, no, you say.
Of course it's an issue. It's a tragedy.
So what do you mean by your post? It's not an actual issue, meaning we shouldn't be paying attention to it. Senate's wasting its time this week on the Laken Riley Act that would address the circumstances of her murder. What's your advice to us? We just discontinue those proceedings now?
Senator Josh Hawley questioned witness Mr. Isaacson during a Senate hearing over previous comments regarding migrant crime and the Laken Riley Act. The exchange focused on immigration enforcement, border security, violent crime, and the effectiveness of policies such as Remain in Mexico. This video summarizes the key moments from the hearing, explains the arguments presented by both sides, and provides context for the broader debate surrounding immigration policy in the United States. If you enjoy factual coverage of Senate hearings, congressional investigations, and major
Laken Riley's death and migrant crime is not an actual issue. I can't frankly believe that I am hearing these words. You said it's not an actual issue. I read you the quote.
Laken Riley's death was not an actual issue.
You said that the murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime. You put it in quotation marks, square quotes, like it's an actual issue. She's dead because of migrant crime, right? Let's try something else. Here, do you know who this is? Do you know who this young man is?
I do not.
Travis Wolf, 12 years old, from my state, murdered by an illegal migrant who was also, like Jose Ibarra, illegally paroled by the last administration.
Is your expectation that zero migrants?
Let me tell you what my expectation is that those who commit crimes in this country will be appropriately dealt with. Absolutely. And that we should not be allowing migrants who commit crimes into this country, and that, yes, migrant crime that kills people like Travis Wolf, whose death was shocking, whose death is inexplicable, indefensible. I actually do think, yes, I think it's an actual, wait a minute, it's my time, Mr. Isaacson. I actually think, and I want the record to be clear on this, that migrant crime is a real issue. I think the Laken Riley Act is absolutely necessary. In fact, I propose an amendment to the Laken Riley Act that will cover people like Travis Wolf. I think that ICE ought to be required to detain those illegal migrants who commit violent crimes against children, like Travis Wolf. And yes, I happen to think, as a former prosecutor, I happen to think that their violent murders are actual issues. And the fact that you would say otherwise, sit here and advise the Senate that the Laken Riley Act is a bad idea, that the whole thing is not an actual issue, it's all made up, I think is outrageous. I think it's absolutely outrageous. And the fact that you were invited here to give this testimony is stunning to me, I have to say. Absolutely stunning to me. Mr. Kucinich, let me just ask you, something else that Mr. Isaacson has said is that the Remain in Mexico
One of the most talked about moments
was
of the hearing came when Senator Josh Hawley confronted witness Mr. Isaacson over comments he made in March 2024 following the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. Hawley read directly from Isaacson's previous statement, in which Isaacson argued that some conservatives were treating migrant crime like it's an actual issue. Hawley challenged that characterization, arguing that Riley's murder demonstrated that crimes committed by undocumented immigrants are a legitimate public concern that Congress should address. Isaacson responded that Riley's death was a tragedy but maintained that, statistically, crimes committed by undocumented immigrants should be viewed in the broader context of overall crime rates. He also expressed concern that the Laken Riley Act could lead to deportation proceedings based on relatively minor criminal allegations. Hawley strongly disagreed. He argued that Congress has a responsibility to respond when violent crimes are committed by individuals who entered or remained in the country unlawfully. Throughout the exchange, he repeatedly emphasized that victims and their families deserve meaningful legislative action. The discussion then expanded beyond the Riley case. Hawley cited another case involving Travis Wolf, a 12-year-old from Missouri, whose death he said involved an undocumented immigrant who had been paroled into the United States. Hawley used the case to argue that stronger immigration enforcement could help prevent similar tragedies. The senator also highlighted his own proposed amendment to the Laken Riley Act, saying it would require immigration and customs enforcement to detain undocumented immigrants accused of committing violent crimes against children. Later in the hearing, Hawley questioned former Border Patrol official Mr. Cooch about the Remain in Mexico policy. Cooch rejected criticism that the policy endangered migrants. Instead, he argued that it discouraged illegal border crossings, reduced dangerous journeys, and limited opportunities for criminal cartels to profit from migrant smuggling. According to his testimony, ending the policy encouraged more illegal crossings and strengthened transnational criminal organizations. Hawley agreed with that assessment, arguing that stronger border enforcement policies could have prevented some violent crimes by reducing unlawful entries into the United States. The hearing illustrates one of the central debates in American immigration policy. Supporters of measures like the Laken Riley Act argue that stricter detention and enforcement policies improve public safety and help prevent crimes committed by individuals who are in the country unlawfully. Opponents argue that legislation should be carefully designed to avoid unintended consequences while still respecting due process and existing legal protections. Regardless of where viewers stand politically, the hearing demonstrated how emotionally charged immigration policy remains, especially when lawmakers discuss violent